Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about how Shopify, the big shopping app, how they have made a statement saying that they really don't want to get into politics. And we know that Silicon Valley companies, other Silicon Valley companies have tried this, tech companies, and they've gotten all kinds of blowback from employees. We're going to talk about the Shopify kind of anti-woke policy that they instituted and kind of point out that, they really didn't take their own advice a couple of months ago. So we'll see where it's going. But already people are sort of like, tech companies have to take a side. They have to take a side.
No, they don't. That's what I'm tired of hearing. Companies don't owe you anything. They don't, and actually it's really stupid of companies, unless that's what they're deliberately pandering to a certain political side. It's really, really stupid of companies to take a political stand. And I'm so tired of it. I'm tired of people like Twitter and all this shit demanding that everybody take a side, and it has to be their side too. It's like, for fuck's sake, you know what? America's been around for centuries. America had no problem voting for stuff before 5 years ago.
All history began 5 years ago. So we're going to talk about this and just this trend that we're seeing, this pendulum swing. We've got companies that went super ultra woke, and then they lost business, and then we had other companies say, hey, we're not going to do that, and then
they lost business. Or their employees had a shit fit.
The employees had a shit fit. We're going to talk about that. There's this article out there saying that companies are trying to run away from the politics, but the politics are finding them.
Yeah, because they're not going to let you, because Twitter won't allow it, because a bunch of these kids that just showed up now are suddenly, because the world revolves around them, don't you know?
Right. So before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We're over 191,000.
Woohoo!
There we got a woohoo. We didn't have a woohoo in the last one.
Yeah, sorry. I was cleaning the studio.
Yeah, she was cleaning the studio. That's what she was busy.
That was my choice. Before everybody's like, oh, you make her clean. No, it was my choice. And I'm actually faster and better at it. So.
Well, she is. She is better at cleaning than I am. So.
Yeah, it sounds bad. But it's not because he makes me.
No, I don't make her. She's like, this place
He's
needs
better
clean.
at cooking than I am. So, hey.
So I will get my bitch ass in the kitchen and make you some pie.
You make me some chicken, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Or steak. Steak maybe tonight. Anyway.
Steaks are good. Yeah. All right. So we're going to talk about Shopify. I don't know if you can buy steaks on Shopify, but major tech CEO speaks out against woke capitalism. Now, just a reminder, Shopify did get political at the beginning of the year. They took down the Trump store, I guess.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of any of this.
Yeah, and people were pretty upset. Now they're coming around and saying, hey, we're not going to get political. I mean, I think that every company has limits as to what they will and will not do. I don't know if they felt like the employees were pressuring them to take down the Trump store or what the deal is, but...
Or media was or whatever.
Yeah. So anyway, they're Canadian. So they're probably like, we don't want to deal with your...
But they're Canadian. What difference does it make?
You don't want to deal with your U.S. politics
I'm just
anyway.
I'm just so tired of it. I'm tired of the fact that other countries, everything has to revolve around, U.S. politics. I mean, and it's really stupid. And I understand Canada has their own set of issues and stuff. I know a lot of you are Canadian. So I'm sure you have similar issues going on there. But they keep trying to paint the world with their broad brush. They keep trying to push American politics in countries that are clear across the globe from us and have nothing to do with our politics.
Zimbabwe doesn't give a shit about MAGA hats.
That's right. I'm just
confirmed.
Tired of this. It's like, stop trying to make everyone conform to your political agenda and only on one side of it in the United States. This is stupid.
You sound like a bunch of colonizers expecting everybody to get on board with your American politics. Anyway, here we go. This is coming from Foundation for Economic Education. Put this out. We're going to talk about it because there are some articles going around saying that you're not allowed to walk away from politics.
Bullshit! You're not allowed to walk away from politics.
So major tech CEO speaks out against woke capitalism. Here's hoping more CEOs follow Shopify's lead and rediscover the fundamental morality of free market capitalism.
I don't care. If I'm buying a t-shirt, I don't really give a flying fart what your political affiliation is and what every employee you have's political affiliation is. I don't make you take a test before I buy a shirt.
So Business Insider reported that the CEO of the e-commerce platform Shopify, which is, I believe, the largest independent. In fact, we're going to be opening our own Shop Clownfish
We
store.
opened it just because we're trying to stay out of politics.
Well, we were going to use Shopify anyway, so
Right, but I'm just saying, that actually makes me want to open it more.
Yeah. So Toby Lutke, I don't know how to pronounce his name, recently sent a letter to the entire staff reasserting the company's...
So they already knew this.
Yeah, and they actually talked on the podcast. I guess they talked to they actually have a diversity and inclusion person there who's like, this is nothing new. This has been our policy pretty much since day one. Reasserting the company's commitment to competitive enterprise and rejecting calls for it to embrace social activism. In an age when woke politics are increasingly infecting corporate America,
infecting is the word I'd use.
He wanted to remind everyone that we are a business and, more importantly, a hugely ambitious one. We are trying to create a world-class product that gives superpowers to the merchants we're obsessed over. Everything Shopify does is to accomplish this, and everyone at Shopify should be able to describe how their job, through a series of direct or indirect steps, furthers the mission.
Right. They're focused on making sure creators can make money, and therefore they can make money. And if you want to sell your political shirts or whatever on there, and that's your own, that's fine. But their own internally, they're like, we're not taking sides here.
Because if we run out of money, guess what? We also run out of jobs.
And how smart is it to be, take about social activism when most social activism is against corporate America?
That is the elephant in the room, right? Because a lot of activists now are anti-capitalist. And it's very hard to work for a company that wants to make a profit when so many of your employees actively want to destroy capitalism.
Well, don't you know that companies, especially small businesses, aren't allowed to make a profit because that's not fair to them.
It's problematic.
And they aren't getting paid. And while the boss makes more money than them for the company they spent years building up before they showed up like a year ago, how very dare they? They have health insurance and they don't, et cetera, et cetera. Welcome to reality. It's been this way for a long time before 2016.
Shopify, this is going to get him in trouble. Shopify, like any other for-profit company, is not a family, he continued.
This is like normal corporate. At least he's being honest.
The very idea is preposterous. You're born into a family. You never choose it. And they can't unfamily you. The dangers of family thinking are that it becomes incredibly hard to let poor performers go. Shopify is a team, not a family. Oh, shit.
Because they are a team. At the end of the day, that's what you are. You might have people we work with that you feel like family or whatever, but it is a dangerous line to cross because then you run into trouble.
And you can't let people go who maybe aren't bringing it. If your mission is to make as much money as you can and to service your customers, you've got people working at the company who aren't bringing it, who are actively trying to destroy capitalism from within your capitalist company. It's very hard.
And they're on Twitter all the time.
And they're on Twitter instead of doing their job. Yeah, you can't. Like, look at the problem Kickstarter got themselves into. So Kickstarter made this big show about how woke they were going to be, and they had their union and all that. And they're like, hey guys, look, the economy took a downturn. Let's get rid of all the unionized employees. And then they turned around a couple months later and like, look, record profits at Kickstarter. No, they used an out to show some of their problematic employees the door.
Yeah, but they were supposed to be so, far left, so progressive. Yep. Yes, union, and then they got rid of it at the first chance they had because it's not feasible in a business. It's just not.
Well, he just goes on. So he says, we cannot solve every societal problem here. Shopify's worldview is well documented. We believe in liberal values and equality of opportunity.
Why? That's what I believe in.
Sometimes we see opportunities to help nudge these causes forward. We do this because this directly helps our business and our merchants and not because of some moralistic overreach. Oh my God, dude.
He says, okay, that's why they're taking him on.
They're going to cancel him.
He's just letting it fly. However, I do completely agree with him on equality of opportunity. I think that sums up. I think that's where I'm at. I believe overall that everybody should have an equal opportunity. And who best person should get the job, not based on, diversity check boxes and points, whoever is most qualified. But I also believe that everyone should have the equal opportunity for those positions.
The CEO reiterated his commitment to a meritocracy-based employment system driven by efficiency, not politics.
Because, shit. That's how it's been.
How is it that the Canadian company is more American than America?
I don't know.
How is it? We will always have compassion for team members in truly difficult situations.
As you should.
But we need to remind everyone that like any other competitive sports team, it matters how you show up every day and contribute to the team's success. Beyond straight performance output, everyone that engages in endless Slack trolling, victimhood thinking, us versus them, divisiveness, and zero-sum thinking must be seen for the threat they are. They break teams.
Yes! Oh my God, someone's making sense! Oh, holy shit!
We want to build one of the best companies in the world, he concluded. We want everyone to have a shot at bettering their lot through an entrepreneurship.
I agree with that.
When we succeed in our mission, millions of merchants do better. Millions of people find employment.
Yep.
We have the opportunity to make that tens and even hundreds of millions in the future. The CEO may have just intended to get his company back on the right track.
Oh, they're going to kill you for that.
Yep, but his poignant comments also squarely reveal the problems with newfangled woke capitalism. They said, for one, in profit-seeking enterprises, businesses are held accountable to consumers who vote with their wallet.
Oh my God, it's so much sense. I can't, my mind doesn't explode because there's finally an article making so much sense. Oh.
This pushes them to accommodate
So
society's desires and make improvements over time, but woke corporations focused on social justice aren't held accountable to anyone except angry Twitter mobs, generally unproductive and woefully unrepresentative of society at large.
The unrepresentative of society at large, 100%. Because I'm so tired of hearing this. Because we keep saying on both extremes, the far right or the far left, the extremes are the extremes for a reason. They are not representative or indicative of most people. And on Twitter, you find it especially where it's like this really, really far leftist. But when you look at the percentage of people actually using Twitter, and then look at the extremists on Twitter, it's a very small percentage overall of the public at large. A lot of people don't even go to Twitter. So they're not representative of the greater picture here.
So he came out and said in reaction.
Damn.
Yeah, in reaction to the strife expressed over how the company has handled racial and social justice last year. Because this is what's going on. What's going on is, we've got disgruntled employees coming out and saying that our company is not woke enough. And then they run to the media.
They didn't give me special treatment because I'm me.
And the irony in all this is these websites, a lot of them are dying because they're not making enough money.
Even more ironic, a lot of these websites are owned by corporations who are usually, studios or whatever, but they're big corporations, usually run by white dudes.
Yeah, so this is interesting. They said Shopify's worldview is well known and includes a commitment to liberal values and equality of opportunity.
That's I think that's what we're at.
But then they bring up that Shopify was one of the first companies to take action.
Yeah, that's where it's weird.
Yeah.
They must have got a lot of shit over that.
I'm wondering if this is like their, please come back. Please come back, conservative Shopify store owners, because we're gonna now that we dumped Trump, we're gonna say that we're not. We're gonna get political.
Were they taking down stores that if there had any stores that were promoting things that were divisive during the months and months and months of riots?
Yeah.
I mean, if they were doing that at the same time, then I'd be like, okay, they're treating everybody equally.
So,
but if they weren't, I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah. So apparently this whole thing got kicked off last year when somebody put an emoji with a noose in the Slack channel, the company's Slack channel. That shouldn't have been there. An internal company debate was ignited over its discovery. I'll tell you the truth. If it were me, this might not be a company-wide issue. This might just be that you've got one person posting shit they shouldn't be posting, and I would have a talk with them and be like, why are you posting shit like that? You're here to talk about business. Right.
If you may feel that way personally, and you may talk about that on your own time out of work on your own social media, accounts, but don't be bringing that onto the work Slack channel.
Yeah. So apparently the Slack channel belonging, they had a hashtag belonging, and it started to turn into a diversity and inclusion chat. Things got heated. Again, he's probably like, yeah, you know what? These conversations these are outside the scope of our company.
People are probably spending more time debating on Slack and getting, than they were getting their work done, which is what we keep seeing at these companies.
Yeah. So Basecamp did this too, and they had a bunch of people leave. Now, the thing about Basecamp, if I remember correctly, is they actually were giving people an out. They're like, you can quit and we will give you a severance package, a very generous severance package. And they were still bitching about it. Like, you don't have to work here. This is what our policy is now. And this, especially these studios, especially these comic book publishers, need to have the same policy. They need to be like, you're allowed to have your political opinions. We personally here, like I as the CEO, might not agree with your political opinions. As long as it does not affect our business and does not negatively affect our customers, I don't give a shit what you believe in your own personal time, you know?
Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Like, people, not everybody that works with us agrees with us and everything. No. And you know, we differ politically because we tend to lean left or center left. And we have a lot of people who work with us that seem to lean right, or, you know, or believe the same as us, or, you know, some of them don't even get political at all, which is what I prefer.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's the way the world is. And when you work at any company, it used to be, way back machine, let's go back a whole whopping 6 or 7 years ago.
6 or 7 years ago, the dark time.
People worked next to you and you had no idea how they voted, and it didn't effing matter because that was their choice, because you have a right in America to vote how you want to vote. If you want to vote for the flipping Mickey Mouse, you can vote for Mickey Mouse. You're allowed to vote for whoever you feel like you want to vote for, and it's not anybody else's business. And now it went from you kept it to yourself to now you have to show who you voted for to pass a purity test to see whether or not you're worthy of belonging in certain companies or certain groups or certain, you know, social media platforms. And at the end of the day, people have a right to vote opposite you. I mean, that's just the way it is.
I worked for literally, and I think I said this before, I worked for a company that we worked very closely with the federal government, and my boss was actually heavily involved in the Democratic Party. I think his dad ran for office or was a senator for a number of years, whatever. But I also know that there were a number of Republicans and independents that worked at that company too. And we had a bunch of Russians too. We had a room full of Russians. I didn't give a shit. Mm-hmm. They were just there to program. But we were all allowed to take off a few hours in the morning on election day to go vote, and you were never grilled about how you voted.
No. And this is a person that, you know, had a vested interest in one side, one party. He understood that, you know, you have the right to vote, and sometimes you're going to vote with him, and sometimes you're going to vote against him. And, you know, that's how you have that right. And it's not going to impact on how you're treated at work.
No.
Based on that. That's how it was. Now, and to be fair, though, back in the day, like, you know, in the 40s or whatever, they did have these, it was weird, because it happened to my grandpa, that if you voted, like whatever party you were, whoever was in power, that's who they hired all the people.
Yeah.
So like the railroad, for example, if like Democrats won, all the Republicans had to quit or go away. So the Democrats, yes, my mom was telling me about this.
That's weird.
And that's as bad, and it was terrible. And that's why they changed it. And that's what this backward thinking is leading. And it's just like, it's just wrong. If you can disagree with me, I can walk down the street and there's a bunch of people who probably don't agree with me, and I'll still be friendly, and I'll still talk to them. I'll still smile at them. I'll still hold the door for them, because at the end of the day, I don't need to know how they voted. The actions speak louder than votes and words anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you an asshole? That's all I need to know.
And look, assholes come in every shape, size, gender, color,
political affiliation.
Right. And really your primary goal working for any company should be like, I want to help this company succeed, because
it helps me succeed.
Yeah, you're working to live, not living to work. You're working your job to make money, so you have money to pay for your family, to live your life.
Well, companies like Shopify, beyond that, are enabling a lot of people who are entrepreneurs to be able to go and make money and make a living that they wouldn't have the opportunity for the wide distribution to begin with. So it helps a lot of people. Now, I'm not 100% for corporate America, actually. I'm going to tell you straight up. I am not. I think corporate, it's like a load of shit, which is why I get mad at like Disney and like Walmart and places like that. I'm not going to sit here and say, you know, I'm all for corporate America, because I'm not. However, I am for free open markets, and I'm for people like being able to decide, you know what, I want to leave corporate America and start a bake shop down the street, and that they have the right and opportunity to do so, and that, you know, policies are in place that doesn't matter if what way they vote, as long as they're doing their job and doing it well and serving customers well, that they're actually able to grow and expand, even if they don't vote the same way I do.
Yeah, and companies like Shopify make that. I mean, how much of a godsend was Shopify during the shutdown, when people, maybe they were out of work and they could go start their own little store and sell stuff, you know, that way. I know some people were making a living, you know, doing crafts or doing, you know, whatever. So, you know, if you want to talk, you know, social justice or positive social change, and being able to do that, open your own lemonade stand, sell your lemonade to
Start your own small business. which they're going to wipe out, by the way. They're going to probably make sure that no one's going to be able to afford to pay the taxes and stuff for corporations. So we're going to go back to that shit anyway. But my point is, this is just basic. This is nothing new. This is how it should be. This is how it's been for decades. I don't understand,
so much mental illness, like 5 or 6, you can trace it back to, Trump, whether you're for or against Trump. It's just everybody, like these companies just became, and I think a lot of it is you had kids, fresh out of college. They didn't have a lot of real world experience, and they were coming into the workplace and they had all these ideals that they were, but it's like when you actually try to make that happen in real life, it doesn't work that way. You have to have money come in.
Right. And again, you have to understand that just because the people who are screaming the loudest aren't necessarily indicative of where most everybody is. Yeah. Or most everybody feels it should be. And we keep only hearing the loudest voices. And it was refreshing to see somebody just call the shit out.
Well, yeah, and this has happened a couple of times, but the problem is there's always blowback. And then what they do is they start, they're pissed. So then they start digging into the CEO's personal life and they start trying to find dirt to get this person canceled. It's like, you understand, if you work for this company and you get this company canceled, you're out of a job.
Yeah, that's what I'm tired of. This whole cancel culture bullshit. You know what? Just because someone doesn't agree with you, doesn't mean they should be canceled. I mean, unless they're doing something really egregious, like, got caught, doing horrible things to children, or, they're murdering people or something really shitty. Not voting the way you wanted or hurting your fifis is not a reason to cancel somebody.
All right, so this article, will wrap up with this. This is coming from The Economist. And it's very short. We'll read this, but basically talks about these companies are trying to run away from politics, but they're not allowed.
They're not allowed to
run away from politics. So why tech firms are trying to run away from politics and failing. They said, when it works, steer clear of politics. This rule, generally accepted around the world, does not apply in tech land. Employees bring their whole self to work, including their political beliefs. Internal online forums are full of heated debates about social issues Shut it down.
Then don't work there.
Don't work there. Ranging from sexual harassment to police brutality, some firms have started to push back. Facebook, Google, and Shopify.
Facebook and Google.
What? Facebook
What? That's beautiful, right? We're going to shut down anybody else who doesn't follow these rules, but we ourselves are going to demand that you discourage political debates. Fuck off. Sorry, Mom, but she'll agree with me on that one.
They discourage political debates on their internal message, but I would just say, we don't talk about it. Basecamp, a small but culturally influential maker of web software, recently caused a stir when it declared itself a politics-free zone, as Coinbase, a cryptocurrency exchange, had a few months earlier.
As an aside, I agree with them for not letting people talk politics, but I'm just kind of like, Facebook, really? Google, really?
Last week, Apple, otherwise famously focused on its products, got caught up in a debate. It fired a well-known new staff member, Antonio Garcia Martinez, after employees circulated a petition highlighting the supposedly misogynistic tone of a book he penned in 2016, mocking life in Silicon Valley. And last week, Alphabet, Google's parent, had to deal with another internal petition circulating among employees, this one calling the firm's leadership to make a statement recognizing the violence.
Oh my God.
Okay, so yeah, they're basically like, you pick a side, company, and this is where things got sticky last year with BLM. It was like these companies were basically forced by
you got to
Twitter.
put a statement up, or you're canceled.
But if you put the wrong statement up, you're also canceled.
Right.
If you put a black square up, but not 3 black squares.
No, it was 1 black square, and you couldn't put more than one, or you were bad.
Oh, okay. Or you put a white border on a black square, then that was bad. It was like there's no way to win this. These companies have to realize, like,
just stay out of it. The way to win is not to play.
Yeah, but they're going to force your hand.
And even then, you can't win anymore.
Digital technology has always had a political bent, starting with Apple. Yeah, Apple was kind of a hippie company. Mm-hmm. It was. Steve Jobs was kind of a hippie. And
I think it's because when you have these people you're hiring that are up on this stuff, they usually tend to be younger, and when you're younger, you usually are trying to change the world in some way.
Yeah, they said...
Thank you, college.
Yeah, thank you, college. Yeah, technology shifts have tended to be framed in political terms, as was the case with open source software, which originally had an anti-capitalist bent. More recently, to attract top employees, this is where I think the problem started. More recently, to attract top employees, tech firms have felt obliged to offer plenty of perks such as free food and work that aligns with personal values. But what if you've got multiple employees
Oh,
in the
this
company?
reminds me of that one thing we watched a documentary on.
WeWork.
WeWork.
And it
That's what
imploded.
this reminds me of. WeWork. Yeah, they went all out for this, and then it was a big scam.
And it imploded. And what happened was you had these people that were so upset because they were constantly told that they were important, they were the focus, and then
The problem is you have a
they weren't.
generation of people, a couple generations of people that need to be the center of attention. And it's all about them.
Yeah, they said the pendulum is starting to swing back. One reason is that more than other sectors, discussions in tech firms mostly take place on Slack, not ideal forums which are there to advance nuanced arguments. Yeah, because so all the problem. So this is what we talk about. We talk about the journalists. They're all colluding on Slack. They absolutely,
Yes, we've been telling you guys.
absolutely are, for sure. So stir in defensive management and hypercritical workers, and it's easy to see why some firms have blown up. That seems to have been the case with Basecamp, where two founders were mostly known for their books about saner startup life. After a series of internal conflicts, Jason Fried, one founder, wrote a memo banning political debates in Basecamp systems. It's a major distraction. It saps our energy and redirects our dialogue toward dark places.
Well, this is not untrue. How exhausting is it? I find myself not even wanting to go on Twitter if I don't have to, because it's downright exhausting.
Well, what they're doing is they're taking Twitter, the Tumblr and Twitter outrage mobs, and they moved into your internal systems.
Right, and then they're just
And
putting
Slack.
it there so you can never escape it.
No, even if they wanted to, most tech firms can only go so far in pushing back. Coinbase and Basecamp, which each lost 60 employees, probably the same ones. It'd be
Well,
funny
I'm
if they
sure
went
they'll have
to
no
one
problem if they're paying well finding more people.
Well, that's what they said. They said after their bosses changed rules, have apparently been inundated with applications from people wanting to work for politics-free firms.
Because most of the people, that's what we keep trying to tell you, these extremists are a minority. Most people don't want to deal with this shit at work. They don't. They're happy. Like, wait, you're going to keep it so it doesn't matter who I voted for, and I can actually go back to normal. Hell yeah, sign me up. Most people don't want to be inundated with political discussion every hour of the day.
No.
That's why people like us are pushing back, because even into entertainment now, where you're not even allowed to have escapism, because all your escapism, they just keep dumping their political shit into. And even if they don't, the discussion groups, the friend groups, whatever, you're not allowed to talk about it without the political bullshit anymore. That's why we're here.
That's why we're here. They said the pool of workers is going to be limited. I don't believe this. According to a new Harris poll commissioned by Paradigm, a diversity
consultancy.
Commissioned by Paradigm, a diversity consultancy. More than 2/3 of adults in America. No.
You know what?
No.
This is according to a Harris poll commissioned by a biased group. Diversity consultancy. Now remember, if people don't want to argue about this, they don't have a job. 2/3 of Americans. I can tell you for a fact that is not true.
Yeah, so they said that they want to be able to discuss racial justice issues. No,
they don't.
Who did they poll? Most people, the vast majority of people that you ask, even people who are for or against, maybe a little further left or right, are like, you know what? It gets tiring day in, day out. To even if I'm passionate about this thing, to have to deal with it. Like maybe
depression is rampant right now because of the shutdown and because of all this shit.
Maybe I just want to go to work and just shut my brain off for just 8 hours a day.
I want to go do my work and not have to think about, not have to worry about even having to hear about it.
Staple the papers,
I call
push the button.
massive BS on this.
Yeah, this is bullshit.
A company who benefits from having this result tells you that this is the result. It's like, no.
I think what's going on is that because of where Silicon Valley is located, that there are a lot of activists.
Yes, they probably just went and polled. They're going to a place like that. It's going to benefit from the outcome. It's going to go where they're going to get the outcome that confirms their bias.
And so what's happening is that these employees are. I think some of them might be freaking out. They might be like, "Oh God, the pendulum's swinging. We can't have these companies that we basically took over decide now that they're going to become apolitical." I mean, again, look at what happened to Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a prime example. I mean, Kickstarter decided they were going to go super woke, especially with comics. They hired somebody to come in to be their comics czar, I guess people are kind of calling her. Is it Camilla Zhang? And she immediately set to work to unionize, and immediately they started kicking out projects that did not align with their personal political values,
right,
even if those projects did not violate any terms of service.
And I wonder why they lost so much money.
And they lost millions of dollars to Indiegogo, because everybody went over there, and then they had to kick them out anyway.
If your job is to just process something, then you process it. You don't get to put your personal opinion in it as you process it.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see how this goes. I think there's going to be pushback for sure, but I think regardless of where you fall on the political spectrum, I think everybody is getting really fucking tired.
Well, because most people are not on the extremes. Most people are in the middle.
So we're going to wrap it up?
Yep.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.